Bring Tom in. Now, listen, folks, the reason that it's red in the background with the black bits and the dots and all of that, and it's looking all a bit show busy, is because hopefully in a minute or two, we're going to be joined by Tom Morley, drummer extraordinaire and man about town. He's kind of with us at the moment. He's just sorting his technical connections out, and then he'll join us. But hello and welcome to this week's Wow Ergonomics. Hi, Stephen.
Hi, Tom. Hi, Graham. How are you? I said hi, Tom. There, I was expecting Tom to dive in. Hi, Graham. How are you?
Tom will be back with us. Don't worry.
Yes.
Tom will be with us shortly, hopefully. Praying and willing. And if not, I have brought my own guitar today. You'd be pleased to know. Look, I brought my guitar because it's a day of music today. It really is. So you know, I know a song that will get. No, anyway, it's.
Hey, Graham, hang on to that in case we do need that. Don't use your material up. Let's, if Tom can't join us, we may need to fall on you as the backup.
Thank you very much. Hello, Hayley. Good morning to you, and hello to anybody else that's joining from around the global hemisphere. That is, England won the football last night. I'm going to just put that out there. We actually won the football last night. We actually scored a goal, and they didn't score any, and that means that we won. Even though we'd gone through anyway, which is a bit bizarre. But for anyone that hasn't been following the football, there you are. It's a game where a load of men kick a ball around the pitch. It's not. I mean, it's amazing how excited people get about that, really, isn't it? But there you go. It's quite exciting.
People get very worked up over football, Graham, don't they? Very worked up. I mean, I'd say so do I often, but it's I don't know. It's a funny one, really. As much as they won, it wasn't particularly entertaining. I guess if it was a gig, to put it in the music analogy, they sort of sang the songs, but there wasn't a huge amount of sort of passion or desire or energy in it, Graham. I know you're not as much of a football person as a music person. So I guess it'd be if your favourite artist was to play all their songs that you wanted to hear, but they didn't really try very much, and you sort of came away a little bit sort of feeling a little bit cheated. That's probably the best analogy for last night's match, I think. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I kind of watched it while I was watching something else because I can't be bothered that much. No. It seemed all right to me. I mean, the goal was good.
Yeah.
I mean, what more do you want? I mean, I think it's what they call the pundits call a solid performance. Solid. Yeah. I love it. I love listening to these guys talking about these matches afterwards because it's the same nonsense every single time. Well, the thing is, it was really solid. At least what they did there was they held their midfield and the defenders defended well, and the attackers, well, they scored, so that was good. That was solid. So what?
Yeah.
So what? Look, all that matters is the end result, I guess. At the end of the day. And that's what Gareth Southgate will say anyway. They'll definitely be on that,
We may have to introduce some regular sport updates, Graham, in our weekly podcast. So I know a weekly presentation. So I know we don't always go down this route, but is it Wimbledon starting next week? We've then got the golf, the Open in a few weeks' time. That sort of sense of normality is bringing these big events back that we missed out on last year. So lots of interest in sport even more than ever, I think, with the sort of the year off, as it were, the gap year of sport is past. So we might have to introduce a little bit during our future sessions.
Well, what I found interesting during the week is all of these posts about the difference between what we're told to do in society on the one hand and then what's been happening at these sporting events. So, I mean, the go-ahead's been given now. Is it 60,000 for Wembley?
Yeah.
If we get to like finals and stuff like that, and some people have done some very clever posts on social media about showing a crowd of people all together, all held together, and then people standing at a shopping line 2 meters apart. What is the point?
Well, I went not last weekend, the weekend before. I went to 2 days of the Test match, the England-New Zealand Test match at Edgbaston, and that's the main sort of ground in Birmingham for those people who aren't sort of into their cricket. And that was 18,000 out of 25,000 were allowed in, so they allowed a big number in. but you were literally sat next to someone for the whole of the day. Once you were in there, there was no sort of social distancing, and the only thing you had to do was do a negative test before and a PCR test afterwards, which I'd not done before, and that came back negative. So it'll be interesting to see, Graham, if they publish the results of that. So they've brought these big events back in. They've asked 18,000 people to do these PCR tests. It'd be interesting to see if they publish them and what the sort of the results are, because hopefully that will then give the confidence for more things to open up. And I guess in the world of Tom and yourself is getting more maybe music, etc. Events back on. So hopefully there's some positive results from these test events, and we can really sort of ramp up the return to normal.
It's all political. Can you hear me?
Yeah, all good.
Okay. They're not worried about music. It's all political. They just want to make some money. That's why football crowds are able to sing their hearts out and spit all over each other. But choirs of 12 aren't even allowed to meet outside. Now, I'll tell you why. It's because they don't make any tax money out of choirs of 12. Also, the choirs of 12 sing revolutionary songs saying, let's get rid of these incompetent people. And the football crowd say, yeah, good on them. Yeah, football is coming home. And then they say, let's vote for them again. They allowed us to get together. So thank you for inviting me on the show. What are we here to talk about?
We're here to talk about what you do, Tom, which is motivate people.
Right, yeah, motivate them. I'll motivate them, all right.
Yeah,
just get me in to talk to the cabinet. I'll have a word with them. I'll have a word. Yeah.
I mean, so surely you are chomping at the bit, though, I presume, to get back out there with the drums and get huge groups of people drumming again.
I'm an introvert. I hate doing that stuff. I just want to do it. Yeah, I just want to do it from my studio. I'm sorry it's not working. No, I'm kidding. Of course, I love it. But I have opened up a whole new income stream. And not only that, but it's actually bigger than an income stream. I can work with people all over the world from here. It's been absolutely incredible. And I didn't think it was possible. And I'll tell you why. It's because I thought music had to be played in time. But it doesn't. We can play out of time as long as we look like we're having a good time. It's enough. It's enough. First time in history. It's a paradigm shift. That should be on the news at 10, not some lackluster goal, scored by a rather bored millionaire. We should be talking about. Sorry, I've just drunk a cup of coffee. Yeah. We should be talking about how the world's getting connected and how, everyone said to Greta Thunberg, we're never going to stop flying. Oh, pandemic, we're going to stop flying. Yeah. So it's just the will. And the will has been developed during lockdown. And it's not only the will, it's economic once again, because bosses have seen gala dinners. Everyone's having beans on toast at home. And do you know what? They're not missing a gala dinner. And they're drinking, what they want to drink rather than some poncy cheap wine in a fancy... I've done quite a lot of this.
Tom, we've talked about it before. Are you worried at all that we'll forget some of the lessons we've learned in this lockdown
I'm
period,
terrified. I'm terrified. And I say that, with a certain amount of authentic terror, because we've learned a lot, and the only kind of solace, given that we will be invited into a sort of collective amnesia, so we'll just go out and buy stuff to satisfy ourselves again, is that there is an economic imperative in that people are saving a lot of money by not taking flights. They're saving a lot of time by people not having to travel. And productivity will have gone up and costs will have gone down. And in any business, that is what the CFO wants. So the pandemic's delivered in that respect. So I think a lot of the lessons will be learned, not from philanthropic reasons, because everyone's just out for themselves, but you know, well, it's not even misanthropic, it's just bottom line, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched some videos in the past week from various CEOs, etc., talking about the fact that we need to get back to the office, we need to get back to people coming together, because, you know, ultimately, if people aren't physically coming together, that's what humanity's all about.
I agree. Yeah,
I do agree with that, but at the same time, I also think you can't take away people's freedom of choice in terms of how they want to interact, etc. And I think, for me, I think something's gone wrong in terms of the understanding of remote working. I don't think of remote working in terms of just doing what you did do in the office, sat at home. I don't think that that's what remote working is about. I think remote working is saying, actually, if you want to get out there and see something of the world, you could actually do what technology, as you were saying, actually allows you to do what you want to do anywhere you want to do it. If you want to be sat on an island, go do it, mate.
Yeah, and they are saying, I mean, bless them, they are saying if you get your work done, then cool, you know. And but I mean, the advantages to me, like I've been running kind of corporate events for 20 years on site, and I talk to people in the bar afterwards, and when they let their guard down, they go, well, I love my job, but most of all, I love my kids, or I do this job so I can buy stuff for my kids, or so we can go on holiday, or so they can have what I didn't have. They always talk about their children. They whip out pictures of their children. I say, when did you last speak to her? Oh, just before the gala dinner. She was crying because I wasn't there. So, however, if I do an event here, right, and I say, okay, we can do some team building music. We're gonna dance, and they go, oh, is it all right if my daughter joins in? Yeah, and I put on some holiday song. I say, let's pretend we're on holiday. Bring something to the screen. So the dad will put some shades on. But I mean, I've seen this several times, but this is one of my favorite examples. Yeah, exactly. See, permission to be cool. The children come back with hats. One little girl, she came back with some goggles and a snorkel, and she started swimming towards the screen, right, doing the crawl. So 30 people in the company on Zoom, including the CFO, CEO, and I say, everybody, okay, so let's all do the crawl. So they all start doing the crawl in their shades and stuff. Now, as it's a bit of fun, yeah, but also, can you imagine what that does to that family? So rather than the little girl crying for 3 days because her daddy's at some gala dinner getting pissed up and then pretending not to have a hangover the next day by going to the gym with all his mates and toughing it out, you know, that's gone. Now they're at home with dancing with their children, and their children are going, oh, Dad, you do some really cool stuff at work, you know. So that's what I'm terrified of losing. And that is, you know, you can read the words paradigm shift. You go, oh, well, wouldn't it be great, you know, if we could live in a Renaissance or times of surrealism or Dada? We are living in one of those times. And if I was a newspaper columnist, I'd be banging out about it every day. But as it is,
I think you're absolutely right. And I mean, we saw that evolve as lockdown went on. I mean, some of the first videos that we all saw sort of time and time again on social media from the first part of lockdown were the people on Zoom meetings or whatever, and the kids come in and they look really, you know, look really embarrassed, and they're trying to shove the kids out and go,
That's right.
And you know, or even news readers, or someone's on the news or whatever, and the kids come in, and you know, the nanny's on the floor trying to drag the kid back out. But we kind of slowly as society started to go, no, what, you know, this is just life, just accept it.
I know. Sometimes I've been on some exploratory call, you know, for an event with, you know, someone quite high up in the organization. And I think, oh, I'm going to put my hat on, I'm going to tidy up, get all the cameras working. And they're sitting there in their tracksuit going, oh, I'm sorry about the dog, you know. Can someone take the dog? And it's gone. All that hierarchy, which nobody really believed in. Nobody really wanted to wear high heels at work, especially the guys. It's gone.
Yeah.
It has been swept away.
Why do people need what you're doing then, Tom? Why do you think fundamentally people need this? Because I think they do. Well,
it's because they need permission. They don't need much permission, but they need I call myself, I was named by Jamil Qureshi as the Rockstar Activator. He saw me come off stage. I'll tell you what you are. I was wondering what I was. I thought maybe I'm the rhythmic ringmaster. And he said, no, you're the Rockstar Activator. He said, because I've seen in 15 minutes, everyone get activated. They just like you put your shades on, right? So if you imagine that full body, with 30, 50, 200 other people, and they're all moving and they're all getting into the beat. Now, they don't need that because they need a music lesson, nor do they need to dance at their conference. That's what it looks like if you were to put it on the BBC News. Everyone would go, it's all a waste of money. But what that does is, there's different words for it. Chris Barris-Brown calls it up in your Elvis. If you talk to a psychologist, they'll say it's discretionary effort. It's the effort that you keep for your hobbies, or when you're out on a date or something, you actually put a bit of effort in. So that's what we're trying to bring to people at work, not to up their productivity. That's not my imperative. It's good that it does up their productivity, but I want them to have better lives, be connected to their hearts and souls and their kind of energy. That there's nothing psychic about it. It's just that potential we all know we have, but we go, I might hold back because I'm going out tonight. It's because when you start rolling that generator, it's like hydroelectric power. The water doesn't stop coming down from the icy mountain because you've dammed it. It's you just make something with it and some more water comes. So that's what I kind of activate in people. It's the discretionary effort that you don't have to make a decision to let out. It comes out and you think, oh, this is good. Blimey, it's having fun doing things properly. It's more satisfying, and I'm making better connections with people.
And you'd know about that because as a musician, and I've been there myself as well. Music kind of transcends across in terms of a conversation and in terms of a connectivity. It transcends across normal kind of conversation, doesn't it? So you don't have to speak the same language even.
No, not at all.
To understand.
I've been on stage with people sometimes. I remember I was doing a thing at Marble Arch. It was part of a organization called 1 Billion Rising, and I was leading some drummers there just to draw people in, because drums draw people in. And then there was a band on stage, and and I'd met another facilitator there, drum facilitator, and the band said, oh, our equipment isn't working properly. We're going to have to do it acoustically. So I put this band together out of people I just met in the crowd, other facilitators, and we played for half an hour, and people afterwards said, man, how long you guys been playing together? You're so tight. It's amazing. You must have been together for years. I don't even know the names of these people. But
couldn't even pronounce their names.
Can't even pronounce them, no. And so that's the thing. You get on stage with that energy I was talking about, and we say, the groove is found at the crossroads of discipline and surrender. So all the people I chose, I knew had the discipline just from watching them play for 2 or 3 minutes, or the way they interact. So that's the discipline. And then the surrender is, okay, I'm going to count you all in and we're going to entertain this crowd. So you have to then surrender to the kind of group vibe and go, where are we going with this? All right, let's see if I can take it. I know where this should go. Let's see if I can lead it this way. So you might do it with a beat or a chord, or you might change from a minor key to a major key because it starts to rain. You think people need cheering up a bit. So you have all those things at your fingertips as a kind of ensemble. And then if you say, well, what's the value of the business? Any business can do that. Any organization can do that if they value their people and they find out what they're good at. And although it may not be directly related to the job they interviewed for, you go, oh, actually, that could be really useful. Or just that, that discipline and surrender. If someone has the discipline to do the job, which got them the job in the first place, then I kind of train them in the surrender in a way. So it's the platform. You got the stage. There's the platform. What are you going to do on it? You're going to dance. You're going to sing. You're going to, like you and your guitar. So it's building a safe platform. I'm going to put this computer down because, as you know, I was coming in on another camera, and it all kind of, I couldn't get the sound working. So I'm holding this like a hero. Actually, I'll just keep holding it.
Peter here says Zoom does get a bit hard after a while, though. But normal Zoom does. I think that's one of the. I think that's one of the things that I'm really keen on in making a change in terms of people's perceptions. Is that it's like all things. The platform itself isn't the problem. It's what you do on the platform that's the problem. Yeah. It's just Zoom is just a component. And it's like when I look around LinkedIn, there's loads and loads and loads of shall I say dull as dishwater content. At the end of the day, that's your own fault. If you're producing dull as dishwater content and you're living in dull as dishwater content, that's up to you. But there's room to change that and be creative within any structure that you've got.
Absolutely. I'm just going to
So I presume must have taken you a little bit of sort of experimentation, etc., to get the kind of structure right, or to get what you were doing right on digital platforms, etc., and to bring some of that live enthusiasm over onto digital platforms. So that must have taken a little bit of toing and froing for a while.
Well, I was lucky because I'd already worked. Excuse me, I'm just getting a drink. I'd already worked with an organization called Morning Gloryville on site. Now, Morning Gloryville I don't know if you know them, but they do morning raves. Everybody's sober, but they're all dressed up as if they've been up all night. When we used to be able to stay up all night. Yeah. And then we get to that point, you go, oh, let's go down to the market for breakfast. I know a cafe that's going to be open. So we do that. Now, they do that, but everyone gets a good night's sleep and they get together, but all dressed sparkled. So I was already in touch with them and they said, we are going to do this online. And I said, how the hell are you going to do that? I said, we got DJs, we got, so actually the first time they said, would you come and do a drum session as part of it? Because I'd done that live. I said, yeah, I'll try it out. And it's put together by this great guy called Christian Jones. So we knew nothing. We knew absolutely nothing except click here and we're on Zoom, right? And share your computer sound and try and do it on a cable rather than Wi-Fi. So that's all we knew. So I was kind of lucky. I remember there was 7 of us in this team looking like the 3 of us here. And Christian said, okay, so there's 800 people in the waiting room. I'll go let them in now. Good luck, everybody. It was like being...
Yeah.
And man, there we were, the 7 of us going, oh, this is going to be fun. And then just the screen flooded with all these sparkling people going, whoa, what are we going to do? Where's the DJ? What kind of music? And pages of them. So we said, all right, we better try and make something out of this. And so we just learned it as we went along that morning. And then the next one was better, the next one. But I tell you, that one, It was kicking, and we could see. I'll see if I can get a bit of light on me. We could see there was a demand for that, and people were just thirsting, but they didn't care if it went wrong sometimes. At one point, my internet, I was on Wi-Fi, the first one, it switched to my neighbors. It said they seem to have a stronger connection to you. So I just disappeared. Luckily, another DJ took over. And when I came back and said, "Oh, don't worry, I'm back, everybody," and then they're all going, "Huh?" And all my settings, all my Zoom settings, had reset themselves to default. So, oh, sorry. But then it felt like that took about 3 hours, but actually it took 30 seconds, and everyone was, "Yeah, come on." And like I said about that father and his kid with the goggles swimming towards the screen, if you magnify that by 800, everybody was just ready. We just say, "Okay, everybody, see how many pairs of shades you can get on your head." And of course, being ravers, they'd come back, 7 pairs of shades, hats. Okay, we get a scarf. 800 people waving scarves. So I knew within the first 2 weeks of lockdown, everything shutting down, that there was something here. There was an energy that just was not going to die in the people. First of all, there was a need, and we could supply it. We were just in the vanguard, and then from there, luckily, because we're all doing it for free, they said, "Yeah, sure, use the footage." I put some footage together, built a website. Bang! Well, I already had a website, but we put virtual at the front of it. And then I got courted really by a management agency. Bang, bang. It was like watching dominoes, not fall, but stand up.
Yeah.
So one of those movies in reverse.
Yeah, once you had the mechanism in place and you knew what was possible and what people wanted, then it was just a case of marketing that really and saying, this is there now.
Yeah, and if they'd tried it in-house, it had generally gone wrong. So they said, "Okay, let's get somebody who can do it." Because just like a normal conference, they go, "We've only got half an hour for this or an hour for this. We don't want to spend 20 minutes getting it set up or go and tweak it. We just want somebody to go, 'All right, everybody, let's go.'" And that's what I did. I bought a number of different hats. I bought, so I could be this. I wouldn't be Joe from accounts going, "Yeah, I've done a bit of DJing in my time. What would you like? Here's my daughter's remix of Dancing Queen." I wasn't doing that. I was going just right. His celebrate. Yeah, I mean, we remix stuff. We kind of beefed up all the beats. So bang, and we said to people, wear headphones, get your best speakers, stand up, be standing right from the beginning rather than having to get them out of their seats. And so it's quite directive, but it just bang, it worked. So that's what I've been doing for a year. And the I've been doing kind of groups internationally, dancing to the same tunes in London, Paris. It's like one of those posters, Paris, Tokyo, New York. Yeah. That's been my life, but not in a perfume bottle.
Well, I think that's one of the interesting things. I did a Christmas party for a large packaging firm who have got offices all around the world, and they were going to cancel their yearly thing. To which they normally get a select number of people for, normally management, I guess. Because it would cost a fortune to get everybody there. But instead they saw what I was doing with events, etc. And they went, "Do you know what? We could perhaps actually get everybody there for once. Let's put it online and get everybody involved in it."
Everybody.
Suddenly this isn't just like a management nicety where all the management get together, spend everybody else's money, and and have a lot of fun,
and then tell them what their values are,
and tell them how nice the wine and the food was. Exactly.
It was an opportunity
to actually get everybody involved. Now there were technical things to overcome with that, because you've got people working with different types of technology in different countries, and some people have got better computers than others, but we worked through it. We got there, and we got a huge amount of people together in one room. And I just felt, in terms of what that probably did for the culture in that business, it really probably moved things on a lot. We've talked about it before. In fact, just the other week we had Nicola Adams on, who's an ergonomist who does assessments with people, and we talked about the whole onboarding thing with people. I don't know whether you've seen it, but when tech companies, for example, someone goes to join their business, there's this nice little shot of, I've got a box of chocolates and a nice bottle of wine and whatever. Well, that's lovely, right? But on the other hand, what you hear is from people like Nicola, stories where someone joins a company, they might get a box or whatever, but then nobody actually even talks to them for 2 or 3 months. We've presumably part of what you're doing is trying to bring back some humanity back into some business.
Absolutely. Quite a wonderful thing about what you just said there about people onboarding is that when you're on Zoom, of course, the hierarchy is gone once again. We're all in the same. It's not someone's got a bigger oblong than someone else, and you're down there in the corner going, welcome to Jeff. Jeff, after you've been here for 3 months, you'll get a slightly bigger little oblong.
You get more pixels.
You'll get more pixels. Look at the boss. He's in high def. He's always in high def. So we make sure. And so that's gone. So I love that people can come on board and they, so sometimes it takes ages to 3 o'clock in the bar till you learn someone's actually married, or they've got some kids, or one of their kids has got some learning difficulty or something. It takes a long time, but there they are on the screen dancing or wearing a hat, or they're holding them up, and people are saying, "Oh, your daughter's so lovely. Your son, he's such a character." Da, da, da. It's everything. It's our whole life. And someone was saying, I think it's Nick Gold, or it might have been Jamil Qureshi, it might have been both of them, saying, it's community. That this is what is going to hold people together now, because they've had a taste of it, and we really need it. We can't hold back any longer. And like I say, the whole dress code has been smashed. Good. Nobody really liked it anyway, other than a few people who worked it in their advantage. So we only have community now, and it's been really proved to us we are a global community. You can't say, although of course some people are trying to say our country is safe, and here comes the Indian pandemic, which we have to rename because we can't admit that we're not global. It's come from way back in some Latin time in history. That's really that caused it. The ancient Romans. It's not the Indians, because we didn't look after the kind of infrastructure and we cut the aid. It's so we have to admit we are a global community. The pandemic has arrived not as any kind of biblical thing, but it's arrived by chance, and it's teaching us these lessons. So community is going to be everything, and working in community, looking after each other in community, and just waking up in the morning thinking, as a global community, we're in crisis. And in crisis, as half of Hollywood movies attest, it's in crisis when people come together. It's in crisis when they kind of discover some inner resources, and there's some, to put it in Hollywood terms, I never thought about this, but it's character development. The plots you like in any play or in any story, in any movie, it's when you see some character development. So everybody who's been watching Netflix, character development. If there isn't any, you just go, do you know what? I'm not going to finish that box set. It's a bit bland. So that's what we've got. We've got delivered to us as a global group of people. Come on, let's develop some character and make this story interesting. So
I've got to ask you, Stephen, very quickly. I mean, because you've all of your work's gone back home, and then you've started to go out a little bit. Have you needed to go back into suits and ties and everything to go back out? Is it
not yet?
Right.
Not yet. I mean, I think.
I mean, there's a time and a place, I guess. But
there is. It's interesting what Tom said there about how it smashed the whole sort of the dress code hierarchy. I guess naturally, my first instinct would be to put a shirt on if you're meeting someone from a business perspective, and I think that will still be the case. But I think that the formality piece will be a lot less than it was before. I mean, I wouldn't, again, I mean, we've spoken in the past about, I wouldn't want to have my money in invested in office space and things like that. I think other people, suit manufacturers, tie manufacturers, things like that. I mean, I just think that's just going to become a thing of the past. I think people, when they do meet up and they go back to the office, will be more comfortable in a less formal dress code. So yeah, I think that's probably what will happen going forward, Graham, is that people will be less formal. But actually, you can add that to the list of good things that's come from the pandemic. I think that's another positive thing, is the fact that people don't need to feel you need to wear a stuffy suit to get involved in a business discussion. People probably feel a lot more relaxed and probably get a lot more from a meeting if they don't feel as sort of inhibited by wearing a suit. Maybe a t-shirt, a set of jeans, a pair of shorts, whatever. That might actually bring more value to a meeting because people feel a little bit more relaxed and a little bit more comfortable in that situation.
I agree. No, I agree. I mean, I've got my my work uniform on this morning. This is the date. Tom probably recognises, but this is obviously the date of the next pandemic. I'm just putting it out there. Rush probably knew a thing or two about that sort of thing. So
interesting. You're drinking water there, Stephen, because everyone's talking about the water cooler moments. They say we got to go back to the office, because we're missing water cooler moments. But I've read a couple of things about that. In that you can actually generate water cooler moments on Zoom in a group, but it's not just going to happen by chance. You just got to drop a question in there, and it will go, "Oh, that's so forced." Well, maybe it's going to have to be forced at the beginning. It could be as simple as, if you were given 10 grand to spend on this business, what would you do with it? Or on this team? So it's a team of 10 people. If you're given 10 grand, so someone might say, "Well, do you know what? I'd redecorate the place because I've always thought we'd be better off if this place was brighter." Someone might say, "We should go on an away day. My brother-in-law runs this place. I'll get it half price. We can go and build some rafts and fall in the water. It's going to be great." Or someone might say, "Well, do you know what? I was talking to Jeannie. Her son needs an operation. It's going to cost 9.5 grand. She's really anxious about where that's coming from. Let's give it to Jeannie." So that's a way of starting a water. I'm having one with myself, right?
I do know. No, you know what? I was actually sitting there thinking, it's kind of a modern mythology, this water cooler moment anyway, because actually, if we think about it, if we went back in time slightly to the 80s, 90s or whatever, then actually if we did meet around the water cooler at work, we would actually have a conversation, right? We would actually inquire about people's lives, etc. This is what a water cooler moment at work did look like just before the pandemic.
Yeah, exactly. Right? That's right.
So I mean,
that's right. And it'd be the bastard. Yeah, I liked it. I like that picture.
Yeah. Like, come on, let's face it. People were just hanging around looking at their phones.
Yeah,
communicating somewhere over there. So actually, what you're saying is absolutely true anyway. Which is even these days, if you have everybody in one room physically together, you probably still have to have some initiation of proper conversation because
you're absolutely right. some kind of ritual. And yeah, I've read that also about meetings. People say, meetings, that part of the value of them was the people who got there early, or someone's late, so they couldn't start the meeting. So it would be, hey, Jeff, how did you get on with that marathon you were doing? Or how did this go? That's what it used to be. And now, as you're right, it's people going, right, I'll just get that email done. I'll just, no, I'm doing work stuff, honest. Yeah. Oh, I like that.
You're right, though. It is a massive misconception. I look on previous sort of jobs that I've done, and can't wait. We've got a monthly sales meeting. We can all get together and all this. And as you say, you were sort of, the interesting parts were the bit before, the lunch, and the bit after, not the mundane stuff that went on in between. So actually, it's a bit of a fallacy, misconception that actually, or people, we're missing all these meetings. You weren't. You were pretty bored during the meeting. What you liked was those little breaks that you actually, like you say, someone was late, so you had a conversation.
Yeah.
The actual meeting itself, you didn't enjoy, if you were honest. You just think that you enjoyed it.
Yeah, and that is so. I mean, there's a whole kind of, I wouldn't say an industry there, but there's an offer that any facilitator, any organization, any HR department should be looking at. How do we facilitate those without having to go to the office, get dressed? As you say, and I think you're exactly right, Graham, when you say there's a kind of mythology about it, as if it's this golden age of water cooler moments when we used to meet and hug and everything would be resolved about the office party. It's some dream, it's some Hollywood dream of going to work, but it can be done online just by dropping a question. Okay, everybody, and you can do it. I've done things during, if I'm doing a big kind of music event, I'll play at the end. It's all upbeat, right? And then I'll play Lean on Me by Bill Withers at the end. And I say, just bring something to the screen that means something to you. Just think of the theme of love. It needn't be love. It could be honor. It could be respect. Bring something. People bring photographs of parents. They bring children, bring their cuddly toys. And you have this whole gallery suddenly of meaning, of love, of respect, of kind of joy, of sadness, but it's all authentic. If I was to put an email out before a conference and say, everybody bring something you love to the conference, right? Now everybody hold it up. I never read the email. I was going to bring it, but I couldn't find it before I left. So I bought this straw doll at the airport. Will that do? Well, not really, because it doesn't represent, it just represents you being conned, mate. So there's these massive kind of opportunities for deep, authentic connection fast, not in a way that's going to traumatize anybody, because they're not in the room. They can choose. I mean, choose to turn their camera off for that bit if they want, and just watch what everybody else is bringing. But
I mean, I was going to say to quell any kind of thoughts that anybody has, that what can Tom Morley know about business? Because Tom Morley's a musician. You will have been heavily involved in the business at one point. You were in Scritti Politti. You were in a successful band. The business, as it was back then, was a big business. That was a huge industry. I mean, in a way, when you discovered for yourself, and there must have been a point, I guess, where you discovered life outside of the industry, and actually a real what got you into music in the first place, the freedom of doing what you really want as a musician, as opposed to the business. I mean, that must have had huge life lessons for you, and surely that's part of what you're carrying on. Just to kind of, maybe you've got a story about that, but there's, some people might assume musicians don't understand business, but they clearly do, especially if they've been in that industry.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's the music business is a business like any other business. So is the art business, because we all met at art school. The business of galleries, of pricing stuff, of agents, taking their percentage. Same in the music business. It's one of the things in the music business, A&R people, all A&R people were pretty much the same. If they wanted to keep their job, was to not sign anybody. Because if they didn't sign anybody, they couldn't be the one who made the mistake of signing that Duff band. Because in those days, I'm not sure if it's the same now, but there would be 5% of any music company's roster, be they EMI or Virgin or anybody, the 5% would make all the money. 95% would lose it. So you didn't want to be signing one of the 95%. You wanted to be the one who said, yeah, I've seen them 3 times now. I'm thinking of bringing them to the meeting, and then never. It's, don't sign anyone. So consequently, you would have, Kylie Minogue, Robbie Williams, in those days, Stevie Wonder, they'd be keeping the industry going, and in the background, all these people just wanting to keep their jobs. So I remember going to a meeting once, and I said, "God, it's a bit hot in here." And it was in the days of cassettes when people sent in demos of cassettes, and this guy said, "Oh, look in that bag," and he had this bin bag. He said, "'Cause that window won't stay open." So he said, "Just take a cassette out and just jam the window open." And I said, "What if it falls out the window?" And he said, "Oh, don't worry, there's lots more." So you can imagine some group put their heart and soul into, we're going to send it to EMI. It wasn't EMI. We're going to send it to this generic record company. And so there it was. As far as the A&R guy was concerned, he was just getting window props all day. Why do people keep sending these window props in?
It was probably mine.
Yeah.
If only I'd been there to catch it.
Yeah,
this would be a different conversation. Yeah,
it was superb as well.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And it lay shattered on a high street in London somewhere.
Indeed. With someone trying to rewind it.
Oh, wasn't
pencil.
that Johnny Hates Jazz, Shattered Dreams? Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Yeah, but I mean, well, I think it's great, actually. Again, what the internet's done for young musicians. I mean, those young musicians that once upon a time, that was their only route. You went into your friend's bedroom, if it was big enough, or a garage. You made a demo. You made loads and loads and loads of copies of it on Maxell tapes. Other tapes were available. But that's the one I always remember. And you just posted them out, but these days people can take that, they can take it into their own hands. They can, I'm interviewing regularly on my music podcast some young musicians, etc., who are doing a fantastic job of self-managing, of self-promotion, of marketing, of getting their stuff out there, building a brand. Really well done to them,
Yeah.
And the great thing about it as well is that they're doing it with passion because it's their brand,
Yeah.
And that was the other thing.
Yeah. To be honest, I suppose, hearing you say that, we were quite early in that because it was a time of DIY music, and so we learned how we made all our own record sleeves. We hand stamped our first records on the kitchen table, deliberately. It's partly economic, but partly deliberately aesthetically, and because we were very left wing, we wanted to know who was in control. We didn't want our our tapes falling out of windows. We thought we'll take them to the pressing plant. Yeah, that's right. Tom's one survived. He was in the bucket. Yeah, exactly. The last one in the bag, you know, on a cold day when he didn't want to open the window. Oh,
It's a Scritti
let's-
Oh, well, it's the only one I've got left. I'll play that.
Give it a twirl. Yeah, all right. Well, yeah. Kylie will make the money. So, so we were kind of. I understand that aesthetic of and that need, you know, to control everything on YouTube, all your logo. Yeah, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant what people can do now. Just do it without. I don't know enough now about the record company to know how it's surviving, because we were all spending thousands in studios, but now everyone expects to get everything for free or streamed really, really cheap. I'm not sure where those thousands come from. I mean, please write in and tell me, people.
Yeah. Graham, I wanted to ask a question. I guess just a question for Tom, really, going back to what we touched on before about how you found online platforms have been able to replicate things so well. Going back to your sort of, you know, both of your passions around music, where does things like bands doing world tours come into this? I know there's issues around visas for Europe, but just interestingly, does that will that potentially become an issue for people, let's say, in Australia or New Zealand or certain parts of the world? Will bands start to go, actually, we're going to focus on the core countries when we can travel, but we won't, but the sort of the old world tour where we went around 153 countries, that won't happen anymore, because actually for those countries that maybe we weren't making any money from or were potential lost leaders, do we then just give them the option of coming in via some online platform? Will that potentially play out in the future, do you think?
Yeah, that will be massive, and that there will be people right now, well, I know there's people right now planning out the fee structure, the ticket structure, but the just when you were talking about live, I was feeling this, and I feel this from all my friends in the business, and from, I mean, you only have to watch the news and just see how people are getting excited just by going to the pub together, you know, to actually go and listen to music together, to dance, to feel the, you know, it's customization. They don't just play the songs exactly as they are on the album, you know, so you get this customized experience, which I know I've been going on about how great it is on Zoom. You don't, you know, you get it in a different way. When you're at a gig, you think I'm at a piece of history, you know. So I tell the story of when we were in Berlin and we were playing away. It's going well, quite, you know, it's not a massive audience. We were quite early in our development. And there was a power cut. All the lights went out, all the equipment went off. And the only thing that would work was a drum. I just carried on playing a rhythm. And the crowd set up this call and response chant. And then we started joining in. And then when the lights came on, bless them, you know, Green and Neil just came back in on the beat, somehow having worked out the tune. They were good musicians in some respects. They worked out the tuning of what the crowd were singing from their own volition. And then we came in, and then we ended it. We just looked at each other and ended it on the dot as we could do. And people in the bar afterwards said, that was amazing, you know, how you organized that power cut, because it really brought the crowd together. It showed how musically adept you were. And man, you know, now that only ever happened once. We didn't plan it, but for people who are there, and especially for those people who knew at the bar that we didn't plan it at all, they were at something that will never happen again. And, you know, kind of meant something to me, to them. And it also, as we always tried to do, we try to empower the crowd to go, look, just take that. There's this thing, you always hear it in business, if they give you lemons, make lemonade. It was one of those experiences, because we could have gone, well, the power's gone off. Oh, we knew it. when that, I didn't really trust that organizer that much. We could have just moaned about it, but we just kind of took it and made something better out of it. So, and I think that so there will be a premium, to answer your question. There will be a premium on site, because you only feel that properly if you're on site, and there'll be layers online of ways you can get in. I'm sure they'll work out some VIP layer you can get in on Zoom, where there's cameras in the dressing room or something. I mean, it's all so incredibly possible now, because
I think
that
it makes
backstage
sense.
experience.
Yeah, I think it makes sense as a business, as a business model. And musicians don't really care about business models per se. I mean, they just care about doing what they do.
They just care about models.
Yeah. Very good. But at the end of the day, it does make sense in terms of the fact that, for example, when you're young, I used to go to gigs every day. I mean, I would love to go to gigs every day now, but you can't do that once you have responsibilities and you have family, and you've got to find the time outside of your other responsibilities to go to a gig. But therefore, it would be nice to be able to dip into what is happening in a crowd situation and take part in that on some level, and therefore there's a market there for that.
You could line up your family, right? And you could crowd surf around the living room on Zoom, couldn't you? Or you could get all the neighbors around, or you could just trust and jump out the first floor window, so your neighbors would be there. Sort of, kind of be an extreme trust exercise.
You'd probably land on a massive pile of cassettes, wouldn't we, from the 80s that had sort of fallen out the window?
There you go. That's
saved by my old cassette in the end. Yeah.
Exactly. That's right.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I used to love those bargain bucket bins at Woolworths. There you go. Tom, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. So we can see the drums behind you.
Yeah, I just thought I'd expose them, because I had a black screen up.
That's a proper wall of sound there.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah. So that if people have you in to do what you do, is it can be drums, it can be you drumming, it can be music playing. It's all of these things.
Yeah, I mean, but basically, it's actually I'm playing music to the world, either live or the favorite grooves. Or one song I use a lot is Paul Simon's "You Can Call Me Al," and I get people playing along on. Normally I'd have wooden spoons, but I've just got a couple of sticks here, so I just go da 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 da, and then they're there in their home doing that. They might be doing it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and they can play it down. So, but rather than this, go. I got it. Yeah. Oh, I'm really feeling my spirit is opening up. I can see what he's on about. I say, all right, just point at the cobwebs in the room. After a while, or the rubbish on the floor, and then they're all just grooving. Well, and then I say, well, go to the kitchen and get a cabbage, but make sure it's a shaky cabbage. Or anything, we're hats. Go and get a hat. Go and get something, like I was saying, and so we do that along to a beat. If someone's saying, but what about latency issue? There is a latency issue, and there will be for a few years yet. But it really doesn't matter, because we're all out of time at the same beats per minute. So if we're all 130 beats per minute, some people are like this, other people are like that. It just looks like the most expensive choreography, because we're all kind of out of time in time.
It doesn't really matter,
the whole show. It really doesn't matter.
No.
And like I say, with the kids involved, and it's an amazing thing.
And 5G is coming, and apparently coming to the tube soon, which will make it the largest microwave on the planet. So
yeah. So we'll all be dancing in time with birds dropping out of the air behind us in this sort of choreography of doom, and we'll all be there going, don't worry, we're all in time. Do you know what? I'd rather be out of time and have the birds tweeting in the background. But
I think you're right there. Yeah, absolutely.
But if you're running a 5G company, I'm very happy to do a demo for you. You know, I'm a total tart.
All I want to know is, and Tom might know the answer to this one, what was that story about the alarms going off on everybody's phone yesterday? Government alerts. Does anyone know about that?
Don't know about that.
No.
But call in, people. We want to hear your stories. We've got.
Yeah, I do want to hear a story. I've got a slight suspicion it might be something to do with Hinkley Power Station, but I don't know. It's I
hope Priti Patel didn't find it annoying, because if she did, she's not going to allow it to happen again. That's for sure.
No,
that's political reference. No?
But if you hide under a pile of tapes, apparently it's all okay. So,
duck and cover.
Yeah.
We should end with that. Duck and cover. Duck and cover. Yeah,
that's great. Woo!
I believe it's
Stephen. Now, hang on. We just have to do that one more time, because Stephen, you didn't join in.
All right.
No. But I've got no musical rhythm whatsoever.
No, it doesn't. No, that's not what it's about. That's not what it's about.
You just have to do the just pretend your microphone's gone off. Right, I'll do the duck, and then let's do that for cover.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to sing. All right, duck and cover, duck and cover.
We'll do a harmony.
See, that's
There we go.
Oh, now we can. Go.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. Duck and cover. Duck and cover. Yeah. So now you know what I've been doing for the last year.
And kids, that makes money. So good. So if you want to make money too, just lose your inhibitions. Okay.
Yeah, and it saves us from 5G. I think I'm going to bring it back. 5G dance version of Duck and Cover.
Yeah.
We could form a band. We could form a band called 5G.
Yeah, and we could use the StreamYard logo for the duck, couldn't we?
I think so.
That's what we used to do in punk times. We used to say someone else has designed it, we'll nick it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, it's genius idea. I mean, ultimately, if you called yourself 5G, just think of all the free advertising that you'd get over the next year or so. You see, it's like I actually came up with that as part of my thesis at university in the marketing section. I did this whole thing on a marketing campaign where you just brought up blank billboards. Remember billboards? As they were at the time. You just brought up blank billboards, and then you sold a story to a newspaper about this amazing new marketing campaign that was blank billboards. If you think about it, every blank billboard around the country was a free advert. Now that is genius. See, genius, and that kid is really how to make money. So,
man, that sounds like one that fell out the window as well. Did that ever get done?
No, but I wish I had.
Let's do it.
Let's do that. We just let's start a campaign. Yeah. If you've got a blank billboard near you, that's it.
Every time you see it, think 5G Duck and Cover dance mix. That's what it means. That blank billboard.
That's what that means. We're there. Tom, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks,
Stephen. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week, everybody. Thanks for joining Wow Ergonomics. Bye for now.
Take care.